If I don't move like this, if I just run like this.
Dewa is taking a picture of the house that she grew up in beneath Doko Uslit. She grew up in that red and white house, and her first trail was a hand-built trail I built for her up here on the base of A1 mountain called Colton Pass. And right there is the sacred peak of Doko Uslit, the twin peaks, you can tell. Mount Humphreys, the western sacred peak of the Dene. The mountains have been in her cells since the day she was born. They'd always be so.
Nama, most beautiful, lovely, and high-performing fitness warriors of holistic fitness. Welcome to this week's vlog. Okay, all I've been doing is a bunch of trail work. We're doing a new connector trail. Durango is going to have this huge bike park built by the same people in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is currently the country's hugest mountain bike park. And well, we outsourced them to come to Durango and develop Ewing Mesa into a huge bike park. And it's going big. What we're doing is we're building a connector trail from Horse Gulch here in Durango over to the new bike park. I really haven't been doing much except a lot of trail work. That's why we're just going to do a Dharma talk for this week's vlog. I wish to speak about the 6 holistic fitness training precepts. I have written about this in my books and also in my online blog at holisticfitness.com. Huge archive there of teachings. As a quick rehearsal, holistic fitness has 5 noble fitness disciplines: strength, cardio, yoga, specifically high performance yoga, meditation, and nutrition. Backing those 5 noble fitness disciplines are 4 holistic fitness lifestyle principles. Number 1 is conscious breath and posture, which leads to number 2, mindfulness. Huge buzzword nowadays. You know, back in 1981, this was all new stuff. Who knew? Mindfulness leads to principle number 3, appropriate action. And appropriate action leads to, of course, the 4th and final principle of practice. Without practice, it's all just fiction. So I've always said, don't tell me what you're going to do. That's fiction. I can't coach fiction. Tell me what you've done. That's fact. I can coach fact. So I think I have a vlog on at least the lifestyle principles. But today we are going to go into the 6 holistic fitness training precepts. Holistic fitness precept number 1 is muscles and nerves rule. Our muscles and our nerves, our neuromuscular system, is the baseline upon which all of your training should be built. Why is this? Because most people, most coaches, will train your physiology, your cardiovascular system, for example. However, your cardiovascular system, our organic bodies, our livers, our lungs, hearts, very adaptable. They are not the weak links. Here's what's the weak link. Rolling an ankle. Yeah. Throwing a shoulder out. Oh, pinching a lower back nerve. Ow. Plantar fasciitis. See, it always comes down to the weakest link that you have to train the most steadfast and the most intelligent. That is your neuromuscular system. That system is the weakest link. And those of you that have studied with me, we realize that, we start with the body, we cultivate a lot of holistic training around the body to access an off-ramp of the muscular oxygen physiology-based body toward the pranic system. The pranic system, of course, far superior than the neuromuscular, the muscle and oxygen system. The pranic system is a Tesla compared to a gas combustible engine. It's lighter, it's stronger, it's far superior, way less working parts. And since you're dealing with the prana, the divine life force, why not try to get there sooner rather than later? But Before then, your training must be centered around protecting the joint beds, the joint health. That's why, like in our high performance yoga system, we focus on strengthening the joint beds to give birth to suppleness. So without strong joints, suppleness means laxity in the joints. You're just loosey-goosey, and loosey-goosey doesn't get you anywhere. And you can, I mean, oh gosh, I can go back, and I used to test my theories with other yoga teachers that all they did, like, they're loosey-goosey, and they can't run down a hill, they can't ski, they have all these limitations because their joint beds are not firm. There's no integrity. So always remember the precept of base your training on your joint health, your neuromuscular system. That's first base. Holistic fitness training precept number 2. Less is more. How many times have you heard me say that? Okay, this is a canvas precept. It means everything being in the gym. You'll always see us at the lighter end of the barbell rack, the dumbbell rack, and we're always using less weight than others because of our principle of postural elegance and the elegance of form, rhythm, tempo, breath. We use certain yogic type of methodologies in the gym so that we can make, if I can make lifting 60 pounds feel on my body stress-wise like 600, think of how much joint stress I have saved over the decades. Now at 61 years old, as I teach here tonight, if I was just focused on the conventional thing of lift as much weight as possible, regardless of form, my joints would be completely blown. Yeah, gone. I'm not, I'm still out there running and racing, and I have all my original parts and doing trail work. So what I just understand, less is more. Stress rest cycle, absolutely true. We never get stronger during training. We only get stronger as we rest from the training. Micro abrasions, micro tears, lots of physiologic duress upon the body while we're training. That needs to be taken care of by rest, and of course, the 5th, holistic fitness principle of nutrition, cellular nutrition. We're talking ASEA, we're talking the aminos, we're talking Sunrider herbs. We got the method, so we got the path. In the cardiovascular system, especially younger athletes, as you know, I took Dewa out of track this spring. I'm not totally stoked about the high school's coaches' philosophies of more, high volume, intensity, training the seniors training the freshmen at the same level of the seniors. So sometimes in life, man, you gotta pull some cards and do whatever you can. And again, it goes back to the other precept of, the neuromuscular system. Take care of the neuromuscular system. It's very easy to overtrain the body neurally by using more is better instead of less is more. Think about yoga. Don't overstretch. Don't go too fast, too hard. It's not going to work. You're never going to out-muscle a pose. You're not going to out-muscle your journey toward enlightenment. You got to go with the flow, dude. You got to get that Taoist kind of, don't fight forces, use forces. It's like trail work. You let the swing weight of the tool, but if it's a beast or a Pulaski, you let the weight of the tool do most of the work if you're out there for 7 hours, right? So life is a long time. Less is more is going to get you further than more is more. Holistic Fitness Training Precept number 3. Live, laugh, love your aerobic base. So let's see. Wow. Somewhere in the archives, I have created a holistic fitness medicine wheel. It's a medicine wheel to guide your entire life. From a little tiny child, old child, to a young adult, to an adult, to, old as dirt, later stages of life. So, one of the most important principles is when you're a really young kid, you're so full of the life force that you just want to breathe and move, right? If you look at a kid, they're going to take off running. Running is way more natural than walking or standing or, God forbid, sitting around like adults. I grew up with a half wolf named Apache, and he was my mentor, my guru, and we would basically just play all day. One of our favorite games was to take a bow and arrow, put an arrow in, and then start my watch, and then shoot the arrow high up into the farther sky, and then just time how long it took us to find that arrow. And we'd have to go over creeks and canyons and all sorts of... That is an example of just breathing and moving and splashing among the creeks and the rivers of beautiful Mother Earth, Father Sky. That's what kids should do early in life. Building that aerobic base, that ability to just breathe and move, is huge. It doesn't matter if you're no longer a kid. If you want to be fit, you have to have a strong aerobic base. The aerobic base is what builds your capillary density. It builds in mitochondria, the oxygen-producing components within each and every cell. The heart rate is regulated. You learn the body adjusts itself metabolically to enhance better enzymatic fitness. Everything depends upon your aerobic base. Aerobic base, what is it? It's breathing and moving. Doesn't matter. You don't have to run. You can play soccer. You can breathe into whatever you're doing as long as the heart rate is gently elevated. Typically, you're going to get out of the aerobic base training when you go above a conversational pace. So, most coaches will still, to this day, say you need 80% of your cardiovascular training to be aerobic based. That's really easy, easy intensity. Most athletes train too hard on their easy days and not hard enough on their hard days, like their interval days. So, one thing I try to coach in establishing your aerobic base days is you should be able to nasal breathe relatively consistently throughout the entire workout. Holistic Fitness Training Precept number 4. Save the peaks. Save the peaks. We said that in Flagstaff about saving the mountain peaks. What I'm speaking here, though, is save the peaks of your training. That is, train generally, what I would call holistically, 75% of the time. And then let the specifics of your sport that you love to do eke out its own abilities, capacities. Like in the medical system, we used to have general practitioners. I don't even know if there are general practitioners anymore. Everything has become specialized. ear, eye, nose, throat, whatever. I like every doctor is like, like, okay, and you go to this, caregiving for my 93-year-old mom. I know a lot about, sadly, the very thing which I haven't seen personally a doctor since I was 13 years old when my mom brought me to Dr. O'Donnell, a general practitioner. But everything is specialized, see? And when we are training our personal fitness, the worst thing we can do is to specialize. If we're a competitive athlete, of course you have to specialize. You've been following me. You saw the great winter Dewa and I had. So we were specifically training for Nordic ski racing, but that's only a tiny little part of our year-long training. Usually our training is very holistic. It's very general. And the worst thing you can do is become a sport-specific athlete for like all year or, most of the year. No, you get the human body, baby, is about dancing. And get out there and do as many different movement patterns, and hopefully, not sports like golf or tennis where you're just one-sided. If you do that, it'd be really good to like switch to non-dominant side, but whose ego is able to do that? Not me. Just like, that's why I love like rock climbing. That's what's so important about the gym. This balanced, side-to-side, non-dominant emphasis activity. Really, really, really big. So I remember when I first created Wholistic Fitness, Boulder, 1981, my very first t-shirt was Wholistic Fitness because specialization is best left to the insects. Or something like that. I know, I've always been a little lunatic fringe. But what I was trying to get across is we are human beings. And we are meant to dance and to enjoy the breath and the movement across a variety of unbelievably intoxicating activities that is inherent to our being. The trouble is we get good at something, and so we specialize in it, and then we get really narrow, and we close off stuff for the sake of our ego because we can win medals or trophies or whatever, and we build up this ego thing because we're good at one thing. Here's what's funny. A lot of people think I'm an endurance athlete. I'm not. I suck at endurance sports. That's why I've spent my whole life doing them. Because the skill sports, the kinesthetic sports, martial arts, boxing, fighting arts, rock climbing, they came very easy to me. Very easy. And at an early age, I could excel in these sports, and I lost interest because it wasn't who I wasn't training my weakest links. I've always been pulled toward holistic development, wholeness. Buddha said, my business is wholeness. So my business is wholeness. And that means working what I suck at. And it's so funny that people think I'm an accomplished endurance athlete. I only do endurance sports because I suck at them. So I want you to reflect on this. And in your paradigm of your personal fitness, what do you suck at? Enter the path there, not what you're good at. Holistic Fitness Training Precept number 5 is develop the spirit of repetition. Okay, I'm stealing that. Have stole it for decades from D.T. Suzuki, the famous Zen Buddhist master. He said, you must develop the spirit of repetition. Otherwise, your practice will become difficult. And this is coming from a Zen master. Yeah, like we've talked about Zen, like where you just sit and you breathe and you pay attention to the minutest of the air passing through the skin of the nostrils, or you stay attached to a mantra you sit in full lotus, spine straight. Until you study Zen at a really deep level, everything else is entertainment. So entertainment. Like I hear all the time, like, wow, you seem really, really focused. I was like climbing a boulder problem. That's like really easy to focus. Like, what's really hard to focus is sitting still. It takes a lot of strength to sit still. And so to develop the spirit of repetition means you have to fall in love with monotony. It is monotonous to take your herbs, to go to bed early. It's monotonous to say no to, stuff that is degenerative to you, to your highest spirit. It's all very monotonous. What flips a switch on monotony is making it a ritual. When we make something a ritual, then it's imbued in sacredness. There's no such thing as a good habit, because habit, by definition, is mechanical, and it keeps the spiritual self asleep. No such thing as a good habit. What's important is to develop rituals to mine the sacred depth of a moment. And our whole lives are just moments. The sixth Wholistic Fitness Training Precept is cultivation of self, or self-cultivation. No athlete ever held a gold medal up that didn't already exist within. It doesn't matter who you beat. What matters is how you defeat your weaker selves. And I say selves because until you do your first ultra marathon, until you sit zazen 4 o'clock in the morning in full lotus, legs asleep, lower back absolutely going berserk, every ounce of your weaker selves say, why? What the hell? What the heck? Why am I doing this? I don't need to be doing this. I could be sleeping peacefully, lovingly. Why? Why? Because in self-cultivation, you understand how many of you think you are, of which none exists. Our authentic self is an uncut jewel residing endlessly for eons behind the entrapments of our more shallow egoic selves. We are addicted to comfort. We cherish specificity over wholeness. We reward financial outer worldly success instead of compassion, kindness, and unconditional random acts of beauty. Cultivation of self is the crowning jewel of a human incarnation. Thank you for watching. I hope these words will benefit you and your practice as we continue to journey ever higher ever onward and endlessly inward. Nama.